Today I'm going to be talking about programmable money. What is programmable money? Programmable money is the new thing which is coming out of the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. That is the digitization of money. Programmable money is founded on the principles that its user can prescribe its usage, transferees, daily spending limits, and even a termination date. One can put any number of conditions in programmable money. Programmable money, therefore, is like smart money. It's intelligent money. It has its own memory. It has its own age. So if I send you money, if you don't spend it after a certain amount of time, it can vaporize. I can make you spend it in certain places. I can make you spend it on certain things. I can control how you spend it. So it's very interesting here because it says the issuer can prescribe its usage. So who is the issuer? If we go to this page here, it is important to perceive programmability for what it truly represents, an experiment exploring the potential applications of digital money for specific purposes. So if I give you money, I can tell you what you have to spend it on. And this article here says it very well, digital ruble. So now we're talking about a Russian bank or Russian digital currency. And they go on to say, he then described an even more benign application, such as parents ensuring that children spend pocket money on meals and textbooks rather than games. Well, in this case, the parent is the parent of children. But what happens when the parent is the government and the adults are the children? So instead of it being spent on games and sweets instead of lunch money and textbooks, the government can say, well, you can only spend it on this, and this. And that becomes very dangerous because the government then can tell you how you must live. At the moment, we're living in a society where we have money. But what happens in a society where we don't have money? What happens when the theft of our money, the 500 trillion, some people are saying, that are disappearing and going into the government coffers? What happens when you have an elite like the Bezos and the Musks and the Gates of the world, and they have trillions of pounds or dollars of money, and we have to live on handouts? The handouts came in the form of jibby jab, thingy in your arm, where we didn't have enough money. So the government gave packages to people. It gave money to businesses like Guy Ritchie, who did Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. He got money from the government. So if the government give you money in an emergency, they can make sure that you spend that money on the appropriate things. If they give you money for your business in an emergency, they can make sure that that money goes towards staff, or they can make sure it goes towards rent. And they can stop it going towards fast cars or supercars or your wife or jewelry, whatever else it is that you think that you're doing. So in this case, when it says for children, that's very nice. But remember, when they pulled the digital, the digital medical card out for the jibby jab, they said it was just to basically make sure that you have been given your medication. But it then goes towards you can't travel to other countries, or you can't come into the shop unless you have your jibby jab, or you can't get insurance, or you can't get hospital treatment. So it always gets rolled out as something that you benefit from. And then it doesn't it? It sort of gets exacerbated. It sort of grows like a root. And you suddenly realize that it was basically a hook. You've eaten the hook and now you're being reeled in. So for the children, it looks fantastic. Oh, at last I can make sure that my children are looked after, because the society is made in such a way that we need to spend it on textbooks for them to be brainwashed. And also, we don't want them spending it on computer games, because the society is so terrible that children want to run away. And we've got so much bad food in the world that are poisons that we don't ban. We just let people buy. Instead of trying to educate people as in what to buy. I suppose you can't do it for children, but anyway. Other jurisdictions such as Europe and England have gone out of their way to emphasize that their core future CBDCs would not be programmable money. Okay, but they also said that the lockdown would only be 2 weeks at the base layer. That's precisely to prevent the government's restricting its usage. So what it means is that CBDC, if it falls into the wrong government, it can be used to restrict people's money. So Germany went through fascism, didn't it? And then other countries like North Korea have gone through tyrannies, and France has gone through Napoleon, and Spaniards have gone through theirs, and Philippines have gone through theirs. Each country goes through a cycle where they have a ruler that becomes a tyrant. It's only a matter of time before the country has a tyrant and the tyrant controls what you can buy. So why put yourself in that position where you are open and subject to a future? You would think it's a possibility, but it's just the cycles of history that happen. Third parties would be free to add programmability, such as parents limiting a child's usage. Singapore is exploring the applications for this purpose, bound money. Well, that could mean that in the law courts, if you get the children, the judge could program the money that you can only spend the money that's being given to you on children, and they could track what it is that you're spending the money on. So the women that go and get children and get lots of money from their partners, I suppose maybe that could be stopped in some ways, that you're spending 90% of the money on makeup or holidays or your partner, while only a fraction goes on the child. So the person that's paying, usually it's from the man to the woman, but sometimes it's the woman to the man. You can make sure that it's going towards the children. The recent closure of a UK bank account belonging to former right-wing politician. He's not a right-wing politician. What a cock up that is. He's not right-wing. Highlighted the potential. It's Nigel Farage. Highlighted the potential to economically cancel those. What happened was Nigel Farage pushed Brexit. That's not right-wing. If anything, it's nationalistic. Since when is being proud of your country right-wing? So if you're proud of your country and you want to keep the culture in your country, you're right-wing, you're fascist. But if you let other people into the country and dilute the culture, then you're centre and you're allowed to have a bank account, and then you're allowed to go around society and be free. So freedom comes with diminishing your culture. This could equally, so you can see that they're telling you what could happen to the currency, but they're not telling you how that can be manipulated and controlled, and then they're calling politicians right-wing when they're not. This could equally apply to those perceived as anti-woke or woke. During EU parliamentary debates of the digital euro, Eastern European legislators expressed fear that the state could prevent citizens from participating in environmentally unfriendly activities, including buying meat. What happens is, if you are poor and you rely on government subsidies, because they're trying to create UBI, which is Universal Basic Income. So if you get Universal Basic Income, then the state can dictate to you what that can be spent on. For instance, if the government is going to give you money, then we don't want you to eat bad food. We don't want you to eat meat, or we want you to eat a certain type of food, or we don't want you buying products in a certain area. We want you to stay out of those areas, so we'll zone people in. Or we don't want you to go on holiday. We don't want you buying a certain product and helping a certain company. We don't want you giving to certain charities. If you see what happened in Canada with the truckers, when the people supported the truckers, the government closed down people's bank accounts. You won't need to close down people's bank accounts anymore. You just say that the money cannot be spent on helping the truckers. I don't know if it can be post-programmed. So for instance, you give people money, and then after you've given them the money, you can suddenly program that money not to be used in certain places. Ooh, it's very harsh. It's very harsh. If you have a social credit score that's bad, you can, like in China, you won't be able to travel. It can stop you meeting people. It can it can manipulate the type of relationships that you have, so you can only go to certain areas to meet certain types of people. It can control where you go, what you do, what you buy. It could the insurance companies could control it as well, because everything's going to be seen. This is very dangerous, very dangerous.